In the final days before his execution, Lord Eddard Stark sat in the black cells beneath the Red Keep, his world reduced to darkness and the weight of iron chains. A guard had smuggled him a curious scroll, a copy of Epictetus's Handbook, translated from its ancient origins. As he read by flickering torchlight, Ned found himself wondering how differently events might have unfolded had he encountered these words sooner. There are things which are within our power, and there are things which are beyond our power, the scroll began. Ned thought of his attempt to secure the succession, of his trust in Littlefinger, of his decision to warn Cersei. He had tried to control the Game of Thrones itself, a game whose very nature was beyond any one person's control. Miles away in the east, Daenerys Targaryen read from another copy of the same text, gifted by a merchant from Volantis who had recognized something special in the exiled queen. "Remember that you are an actor in a drama of such sort as the author chooses," she read as her dragons circled overhead. How many times had she tried to force her destiny rather than understand it? The prophecies, the titles, the burning need to reclaim her birthright, had these desires served her or enslaved her? In the north, Jon Snow found the handbook among Maester Aemon's possessions at Castle Black. People are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of things, he read. He thought of Ygritte, of his brother's betrayal, of the honor and burden of command. His death and resurrection had taught him much, but here in these ancient words he found a wisdom that spoke to the very heart of his struggles. Tyrion Lannister, drinking wine in his chambers, reflects on the philosopher's words about personal insults. Remember, if you think the things which are by nature slavish to be free, and the things which are not your own to be your own, you will be hindered, you will lament, you will be disturbed. How much pain had he carried from others' judgments of his stature? Yet Epictetus taught that their opinions were beyond his control. Only his response to them was his to master. In the House of Black and White, Arya Stark's training unexpectedly aligns with Epictetus's teaching. Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. As she learns to serve the many-faced god, she begins to understand that true power comes not from controlling events, but from accepting and working with them as they are. Cersei Lannister, in her moment of greatest triumph after destroying the Sept of Baelor, might have benefited from Epictetus's warning. It is not death or hardship that is a fearful thing, but the fear of death and hardship. Her actions, driven by fear of prophecy and loss of power, set in motion the very events she sought to prevent. Through each character's encounter with the ancient philosophy, we see how the principles of Stoicism might have altered the Game of Thrones. Ned Stark could have understood that honor without wisdom is as dangerous as wisdom without honor. The Handbook teaches, don't be prideful with any excellence that is not your own. His honor was his excellence, but his ability to control others' responses to it was not. Daenerys might have learned that true leadership comes not from forcing the world to submit to your will, but from understanding how to work with the nature of things as they are. The essence of good is found in a certain disposition of our will, Epictetus writes, challenging her assumption that her birthright alone made her fit to rule. Jon Snow's struggles with duty and desire reflect Epictetus's teaching that there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond our power. His most effective leadership comes when he accepts what he cannot change and focuses on what he can influence. As the story reaches into the final conflicts for the Iron Throne, each character who has encountered the Handbook faces their ultimate test. Those who have truly absorbed its lessons understand that the real Game of Thrones is not about controlling the realm, but about mastering oneself. The Handbook's final wisdom echoes through their choices. Don't hope that events will turn out the way you want. Welcome events in whichever way they happen. This is the path to peace. In the end, the realm finds stability not through those who sought to control it, but through those who learned to understand it. The Game of Thrones, like life itself, is not about achieving perfect control, but about maintaining perfect wisdom and equilibrium in the face of what cannot be controlled. As a new era dawns in Westeros, copies of the Handbook begin to circulate among the great houses. Its wisdom spreads, teaching future generations that true power lies not in sitting upon the Iron Throne, but in remaining steadfast and wise regardless of where one sits. The final page of the Handbook bears a truth that could have saved the realm much bloodshed. Freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of one's desires, but by the removal of desire. In the end, those who truly understood this were the ones who brought peace to the Seven Kingdoms, not through force of arms or force of will, but through the wisdom to know what they could and could not control.